vulnerable to exploitations. Cultural tolerance. In some environment, inappropriate behavior is dismissed as harmless or just a joke. Fear of speaking up. Women often don't report incidents because they fear retaliations, losing their jobs, or being labeled as troublemakers. Now let's talk about solution because this isn't a problem without solution. Strengthen workplace policies. Organization must adapt and enforce zero tolerance policies against harassment and violence. This includes clear guidelines for reporting and addressing complaints confidentially and fairly. Educate and train. Regular training on workplace ethics, gender sensitivity, and bystander interventions can help prevent violence. Leaders should be a role model, setting a tone of respect and inclusions. Create support system. Victims need safe space to report abuse without fear. Counseling, legal assistance, and support can make a significant change. Enforce stronger laws. Government should ensure law against workplace violence are comprehensive and strictly followed. Partnership with international organizations can help align, promote cultural changes, offer regular training and awareness sessions to promote positive change in the work environment. Involve men and boys in the fight to address violence against women or girls. Employers can build a culture of mutual respect and dignity. A call to action. Ending violence against women in the workplace isn't just about transforming our culture. We must stand together to create workplace where every woman feels valued, respected, and safe. So I leave you with this. What kind of workplace do we want to build? One where violence is tolerated or one where equity and equality are the foundation. The choice is ours. Let's make it wisely by breaking the silence and demanding accountability. Thank you.
இவங்க 5 நிமிஷத்துல என்ன கட் பண்ணாங்க?
Respect at work is a right and not a privilege. A very good morning to one and all present here. Today, I want to talk about a pressing issue that affects millions of women across the country. Violence in workplace. This violence isn't just physical. It includes verbal abuse, sexual harassment, bullying, and discriminatory practices that hinder women from progressing in their careers. A 2023 survey reveals that more than 50% of women have faced some form of harassment at work. The case of recent workplace scandals and publicized incidents highlights that despite legal measures, many women still feel unsafe. The hashtag #MeToo movement in India shed light on how pervasive, but much more needs to be done. In India, many women hesitate to report harassment due to the fear of social stigma, losing their jobs, or not being believed. Additionally, the male-dominated structures in several industries makes it harder for women to voice their concerns. Raising awareness is a crucial step towards creating safe and respectful work environments. The Indian judiciary system has laws like the Sexual Harassment of Women Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013, which is a powerful tool. However, more awareness is needed. Employees should be well versed in their rights and organizations must be held accountable for implementing these laws. Every workplace must foster an environment where women can speak up without fear. Companies need to have robust and clear reporting mechanisms and ensure that complaints are addressed confidentially and swiftly. Mandatory workshops and training sessions on gender sensitivity, harassment, and workplace ethics should be conducted regularly. Everyone, from top executives to entry-level employees, must participate to understand the severity of workplace violence and how to prevent it. This is not just an issue for women, it is an issue for all of us. To create safe and inclusive workplaces, both men and women must work together. We must break the silence, challenge harmful behaviors, and stand in solidarity with those who speak out. An equal and respectful workplace benefits not only individuals but also enhances productivity and innovation. Supporting and standing by them is crucial in breaking the cycle of silence. It's time to make safety and respect the standard and not the exception. If you see harassment happening, speak up. I repeat, speak up. Being harassed is terrible, and having bystanders pretend they don't notice is infinitely worse. Let's make a commitment today to be the voice for those who are afraid to speak and the change that we all wish to see. Thank you.
அனைவருக்கும் அனைவருக்கும் என் இனிய காலை வணக்கம். பணியிடத்தில் பெண்களுக்கு எதிரான வன்முறை ஒரு பெருகும் பிரச்சனையாக உள்ளது. பெண்களின் உரிமைகளை பறிக்கும் ஒரு தீவிர குற்றமாகும். பணியிடத்தில் பெண்கள் பல்வேறு வகையான வன்முறைகளுக்கு ஆளாகிறார்கள். பெரும்பாலான மக்கள் வன்முறை மற்றும் துன்புறுத்தல் உடல் ரீதியான தாக்குதல் என்று நினைக்கிறார்கள். ஒரு நபர் தனது வேலையின் போது துஷ்பிரயோகம், பின்தொடரல், அச்சுறுத்தல், மிரட்டல், வதந்திகளை பரப்புதல், திட்டுதல், குறும்புகள், உடல் ரீதியான தாக்குதல் என்று நினைக்கிறார்கள். பணியிட வன்முறை ஆன்லைன் அல்லது அலுவலகத்திற்கு வெளியே நிகழலாம். நடப்பவர்களை பற்றி பேசுவதற்கே பெண்கள் பல தடைகளை வேலையை இழக்க வேண்டிய சூழல், சமுதாயத்தின் ஆணவமான பார்வை, குற்றம் புரியால் பயப்படுத்தப்படும் நிலை. இதை தடுப்பதற்கான வழிமுறைகள், சட்டங்கள். இந்தியாவில் 2013ஆம் ஆண்டில் உருவான The Sexual Harassment of Women Act போன்ற சட்டங்கள் இதன் மூலம் பெண்களுக்கு பாதுகாப்பு அளிக்க முடியும். நாடக அமைப்புகள் பெண்கள் எந்த இடத்தில் மனநிறைவுடன் வேலை செய்ய முடியும் என்பதை உறுதி செய்யுமாறு கமிட்டிகள் அமைக்கப்படும். அறிவியல் விழிப்புணர்வு பெண்களின் உரிமைகளை பற்றியும் அவற்றை காக்கும் முறைகளை பற்றியும் நாம் ஒரு முன்னேற்றமான சமூகம் என்று சொல்லிக் கொள்ளும் பெண்களுக்கு எதிரான வன்முறைகள் இந்த முன்னேற்றத்திற்கு ஒரு கற்பொலியாக இருக்கிறது. பல பெண்கள் தங்கள் திறமைகளையும் தங்கள் கனவுகளையும் வெளிப்படுத்துவதற்கான இடமாகவே வேலை தளங்களை பார்க்கிறார்கள். அனைத்து பெண்ணில் ஒருவராவது வேலை தளங்களில் வன்முறையோ பாலியல் தொல்லையோ சந்தித்து வருகிறார்கள். 85% பெண்கள் தங்கள் வாழ்க்கையில் பாலியல் வன்முறைகளை பணியிடத்தில் சந்திக்கிறார்கள். இந்த பிரச்சனையின் வேர்கள் பாலின சமத்துவம் இல்லாமை, அதிகாரத்தின் தவறான பயன்முறை, புகார் செய்யும் பாதுகாப்பு இல்லாமை. இந்த வன்முறை பெண்களின் மனநிலையை பாதிக்கிறது. இதனால் அவர்களின் வேலை திறன் பாதிக்கப்படுகிறது. சில சமயங்களில் இது தற்கொலைக்கு காரணமாகவும் மாறுகிறது. இந்த பிரச்சனையை தீர்க்க அனைவரும் ஒன்றிணையும். பணியிடத்தில் பெண்களுக்கு எதிரான வன்முறைகளை தடுக்க வேண்டும். நம் சட்டங்களை கடுமையாக்குவோம். இன்றைய உலகில் பெண்கள் முன்னேறுவதற்கு சமுதாயத்தின் ஒட்டுமொத்த ஆதரவு அவசியமாய் இருக்கிறது. வன்முறையை முறியடிக்க வேண்டும். நம் பெண்கள் நமது தேசத்தின் ஸ்தம்பம் என்பதை மறக்காமல் அவர்களுக்கான பாதுகாப்பை புரிந்து கொள்வது. சிங்கப்பெண்ணே சிங்கப்பெண்ணே என்பதற்கேற்ப சிங்கத்தை போல் வலிமையுடையவள் ஒரு பெண். அவளுக்கு ஏற்படும் வன்முறை அனைத்தையும் அவள் எரிக்கல்களாய் தகர்த்தெறிவாள் என்று கூறி விடைபெறுகிறேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். நான் இன்று பேச இருக்கின்ற தலைப்பு உடல் வன்முறை என்பது. இது சமுதாயத்தில் மிக முக்கியமான பிரச்சனையாக விளங்குகிறது. ஏனெனில் உடல் வன்முறையால் பெரும் பாதிப்புகள் ஏற்படுகின்றன. அவை ஒரு மனிதனின் உடல் மட்டுமின்றி அவருடைய புறமாக பாதிக்கிறது. உடல் வன்முறை என்பது மற்றொரு நபரின் உடலை இழிவாக காயப்படுத்துதல் மற்றும் உயிரிழப்புக்கு உட்படுத்தும் செயலை குறிக்கின்றது. இது ஒருவரின் அடிப்படை உரிமைகளை மீறுவதாகும். இந்த வன்முறை பொதுவாக குடும்ப வன்முறை, காதல் வன்முறை, பள்ளி வன்முறை மற்றும் சமூக வன்முறை என பிரிக்கப்பட்டுள்ளது. உடல் வன்முறையினால் ஆண்களை விட பெண்களே அதிகம் பாதிக்கப்படுகின்றனர். இளம் வயது திருமணம் என்பது தொடர்ந்து அதிகமாக உள்ளது. இளம் வயது திருமணத்தால் பெண்களுக்கு ஏற்படும் பிரச்சனைகள் ஏராளம். இளவயது கர்ப்பம், ஊட்டச்சத்து பாதிப்புகள், குறைவான பொருளாதார தன்னுரிமை, இவற்றால் ஏற்படும் மோசமான மனநலம் ஆகியன இப்பாதிப்புகளில் உள்ளடங்கும். இளம் வயது திருமணம் செய்து கொள்ளும் பெண்கள் குடும்ப வன்முறைக்கு ஆளாகும் வாய்ப்புகள் அதிகமாக உள்ளது. திருமண பந்தம் ஏற்படும் போது மனைவியை தன் கட்டுப்பாட்டிற்கு கொண்டு வருவதற்கு கணவன் உடல் வன்முறையை கையாள்வது வழக்கமாக உள்ளது. இதனால் அந்த பெண்ணிற்கு உடல் காயங்கள், கவலை, வேதனையால் ஏற்படும் மன அழுத்தம், தன்னம்பிக்கை மற்றும் சுயமதிப்பு குறைதல் போன்ற பாதிப்புகள் ஏற்படுகின்றன. இந்த வன்முறையால் அந்த பெண் மட்டுமின்றி அந்த வீட்டில் இருக்கும் குழந்தைகளும் பாதிக்கப்படுகின்றன. பள்ளிக்கு செல்லும் நாட்கள் குறைதல், வகுப்பறையில் கவனம் சிதறுதல், தேர்வில் குறைந்த மதிப்பெண் எடுத்தல் போன்ற பிரச்சனைகளை அந்த குழந்தைகள் சந்திக்கின்றனர். பெண் குழந்தைகள் மற்றும் இளம்பெண்கள் பல்வேறு வகையில் பல்வேறு இடங்களில் உடல் ரீதியாகவோ அல்லது பாலியல் ரீதியாகவோ வன்முறைகளை சந்திக்கின்றனர். இத்தகைய வன்முறைகளினால் ஏற்படும் சில பாதிப்புகள் சமூகம் பாதிக்கிறது. இந்த வன்முறைகளை தடுக்க சமூகத்தினருக்கு விழிப்புணர்வு கல்வி அளித்து
Yes, and talking about physical, the globe almost that most of the physical people in close proximity to them, mostly their family members, close friends, or their life partners, and we are also aware of what happened in the recent past to a Manipuri woman who protested the streets and she was dragged back down in the streets in a procession. So it would be very much inappropriate for me to describe that incident in total in this forum. I'm just going to slightly talk to a slightly different angle. Every year on November 25th, there is a celebration of the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Today is observed as a day of remembrance for the Miracles. The history, Mirabal sisters who belong to Dominican Republic activists who were assassinated in 1960 at Rafael Trujillo's command. So the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women begins the 16th from today and ends on December 10th with Human Rights Day. So this is an information. During these 16 days, people all over the world unite to raise awareness and campaign about ending gender-based physical violence. Three Mirabal sisters I told you, the names are Patria, Minerva, and Maria Teresa. They were three sisters who lived in the Dominican Republic. The dictatorship of Rafael was extremely brutal, and those who stood in his way were tortured and murdered. The late 1930s, Trujillo ordered of thousands of Haitians who were living in the Dominican Republic. His reign actually lasted for 31 years, and his power suppressed many citizens, their rights in a very totalitarian regime. Trujillo would often employ people to find young girls for them to sisters actively opposed the rise of Rafael Trujillo's reign and led an underground movement to challenge his regime. In their campaigning to bring awareness to Trujillo's actions, the Mirabal sisters produced and distributed leaflets which named the individuals that he had killed. On the 25th of November 1960, Patria, Minerva, and Maria Teresa were clubbed to death by individuals sent by Rafael Trujillo, and their bodies were put into the jeep was run off the road with the intention of making it look like an accident. The persistence of women against women, persistence of violence against women in India is deeply rooted in entrenched systems of sexism and patriotic culture, Indian culture. The cycle begins when young girls face unequal to food and many other requirements to their male counterparts. Violence against women isn't culture, it is crime. Equality doesn't come eventually. It is for which we got to fight now on from this day. The quotes should be break the silence, end the violence. Love should not hurt. No more abuse.
What can you do? Support women who have faced violence. Teach your sons and daughters to respect women. Support organizations working to end violence against women. Work together to create a safe world for women. Break the silence when the women's violence against women. Thank you.
ஆமாம் ஏன்னா இதில் பண்ணலாம்ல இப்போ நெட் கனெக்டேஷன் இது ஓகே தான் ஸ்ட்ரீம் ஆகுது ஒன்றும் பிரச்சனை இல்லை
I'm here to
அவங்க
talk
ஒய்ஃபை
about
ஃப்ரெண்டாக இருக்கு
something
இல்லையா
that
அதனால
affects
வந்து
many
ஸ்ட்ரீம்
people
நார்மலி
around the
கிடக்குது
world,
போய்
physical
போர்
violence.
காட்டுதா
Physical violence is when someone uses their person. Violence can act in any ways, at any time, at any moment. There's a powerful quote by Mahatma Gandhi that says, an eye for an eye only ends up making the world. Keep hurting others in revenge. We won't solve anything, it will only cause more damage. Violence doesn't fix problems, it just creates. Remember that every time we hurt someone, it harms not only them, but also ourselves and our communities. One of the most serious forms of physical violence is violence against women. Sadly, this is something that happens too often in many places. Women are sometimes abused by their partners, family members, or even by strangers. This violence can leave both physical and emotional scars that last for a long time. But why does physical violence happen? Sometimes it's because someone feels the need to control or hurt another person. It might happen out of anger, frustration, or even fear. However, no matter the reason, violence is never the solution. It only creates more pain and suffering for everyone involved. It's important to remember that no one deserves to be hurt, no matter who they are or what they have done. Everyone has the right to live in peace and happier society. Violence only destroys, but love and respect build stronger, happier communities. So, what can we do to stop physical violence? Firstly, we can educate ourselves and others about the impact of physical violence. Secondly, we can promote healthy relationships. Thirdly, we can support survivors of physical violence. Fourthly, we can report incidents of physical violence. Fifthly, we can create a culture of empathy and compassion. We must work together to create a world where everyone can live without fear of violence. As again Mahatma Gandhi said, வன்முறை என்பது ஒரு பிறவி குறைபாடு. அது எப்போதும் தவறானது. Violence is a congenital defect. It is always wrong. Where physical violence is a thing of past. We can stop physical violence, it's true, by working together, me and you. We can create a world where love shines bright and physical violence is just a distant night. Thank you.
Hello everyone. A very happy morning to another gathered here. I'm here to talk about a physical violence. Physical violence in touching, spitting, maiming, or killing the uses of objects as a weapons. Worldly 1 in 3 women affected by geographically violence. There are most types of violence, but mainly we have 8 types of violence here. Sexual violence, emotional violence, psychological violence, spiritual violence, cultural violence, verbal abuse, and financial abuse. Regarding to this, I have a small story. Manipur incident. According to government figures, as of 3rd May 2024, 221 people have been killed in the violence and 60,000 people have been displaced and lost their homes and 400 wounded. Paramilitary forces and police struggle to quell violence. Hundreds of churches and more than a dozen temples ransacked and villages destroyed. 1,000 injured, 32 were missing, 4,786 houses were burned, and 386 religious structures were vandalized. Moreover, the women were mainly affected by the physical violence. Not only in Manipur, all over the world, the women are affected and still now they are suffering. More than 20 women were raped and killed in the Manipur incident. So how can we prevent the physical violence? Be assertive and directive, but not aggressive. Don't threaten the person verbally or physically. If you are the victim or the witness of a violence, tell someone. Take all violence and abuse seriously. Take a stand. Be an individual. Take back the power. Remember, putting others down does not raise you up. It's wrong. Be a friend to everyone. Speak up. If you see or an experience of violence, tell someone you trust, like a parent, teacher, or a friend. You can also stand up. Develop prevention strategies. You can also develop death prevention strategies. Create safe environment. You can help create an environment of mutual respect and truth. Educate. You can advocate for a workplace violence prevention education. Fund women's organization. You can fund women's organization that helps end violence against women. Create violence, harassment, and bullying prevention policies. Implement training and awareness program. Establish clear reporting procedures. Enhance site security measures. Listening to and delivering survivors. Learning the signs of an abuse, events, and how you can help. Starting a conversation, understanding the data around violence and why it is. Getting involved in your neighborhood and creating belonging. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A critical issue that has been hidden for a long time. All violence against women is a pervasive, insidious, and often invisible problem that affects millions worldwide. It's time to break the silence and unite against this problem. World violence encompasses various forms of abusive languages and communications, including catcalls and sexist jokes, condescending remarks and belightings, emotional manipulation and gaslightings, online harassment and cyberbullying, slut shaming and victim blaming, sexist and misogynistic language. Perpetrators can be strangers, colleagues, family members, or intimate partners. They may use verbal violence to assert power, control, and dominance. Enables to silence or inaction. Violence has devastating effect on women, self-esteem and confidence, mental health and well-being, physical health and safety, education and career prospects, social relationship and community. Alarming statistics: 1 in 5 women and 38% of the women experience verbal abuse in intimate relationship.
Women are 3 times more likely to experience anxiety and depression. 85% women experience street harassment. To combat verbal violence, we must recognize verbal violence and acknowledge its harms, call out perpetrators and support victims, teach empathy, respect, and healthy communications, create safe space for women to share experiences, advocate for policies protecting women from verbal abuse, strategies for change. Education and awareness campaigns, workplace policies and training, community programs and support services, legal framework and protections, engaging men and boys in prevention efforts, promoting positive masculinity and feminist values. Verbal violence can lead to anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorders, eroded self-esteem and confidence, silenced voices and suppressed opinions, perpetuated inequalities and sexism. What can you do? Listen to women's stories without judgment. Speak out against verbal violence. Support organizations working to end verbal abuse. Practice self-care and prioritize mental health. Educate yourself and others. Call to action. We owe it to ourselves, our mothers, our daughters, sisters, and friends to act. Let's support organizations working to combat verbal violence. Engage in difficult conversations. Advocate for policy change. Conclusion. Verbal violence against women is an human rights issue, a public health concern, and a moral imperative. We must unite to create a world where women can live without fear of verbal violence. Here are some slogans against verbal violence. Respect every voice. No to verbal violence, yes to respect. Break the silence, stop verbal violence. Speak up for a violence-free world. Thank you for giving me a wonderful opportunity to speak.
Invisible wounds, silence, a silent refrain. Echoes of hurt, whispers of pain. Every heart with a silent flame. The word fight, leaving scars, but forever entwined. The mind, a maze of twisted enjoy. The prison of no fall. The victim suffers in silence and fear. As words, like poisons, seep into each other, the perpetrator, unaware of the harm, continues to speak with a careless alarm. So let us speak with a gentle care and choose our words with kindness to fall in the silence. We can find our voice and break the chains of verbal violence to rejoice. I am afraid for those women that can't defend ourselves in the society that will live today where violence is experienced daily in our homes, towns, in our cities. I am afraid that I can't do something to stop that hate. Why do I need to feel like this way? I hear screams and begging many times, some physical, sexual, and psychological harm to the sufferer. A woman that I don't want to see. Why can't we treat them the way they deserve to be? I'm afraid because I see in their eyes, their skin, and all behind their smiles. We should do some things. We should do some things by fear. We should know how women and children suffer in pain. The body, blood and tears. Runs as one. Women, she's just an example of women that is a victim of rape, sexual assault, abuse, trafficking, and prostitution. Why does it have to be this way? I am afraid we can't help them. Let us see each other solving these nonsense issues. If you have authority, please lead them. If you are in that position, here are crying children, women, everyone are suffering in the violence that they do not. There is a famous cry. Words can heal, words can harm. Choose yours wisely. Whisper alarm. Respectful speech. A gentle breeze. Soothes the soul. Brings peaceful ease. Verbal violence. A heartful blow. Leave scars that cut. Or words that create. Choose kindness, compassion, and love, and watch the words rise above. Thank you for this giving opportunity to me.
Good morning, one-on-one president. I'm here to talk about a crucial issue that affects millions of people worldwide. Verbal violence against women. This pervasive problem can no longer be ignored. Verbal violence is not just about words, it's about the power to hurt, silence, and command. This may occur in person, online, or even through text and social media. Verbal violence often overlooked and trivialized. It's a pervasive and damaging form of abuse that can have long, lasting effects and mental health and physical well-being. It can take many forms, from threatening and sexist to dominating comments, depreciating, emotional manipulation. It can happen in public spaces, workplaces, homes, and even online. The perpetrators can be strangers, colleagues, friends, or family members. Verbal violence against women is a way to intimidate women, making them feel inferior and vulnerable. The effects of verbal violence are devastating. It erodes confidence and self-worth, leads to anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. It limits opportunities and creates barriers to equality. It perpetuates a culture of fear and silence. But we can break the cycle. We must recognize verbal violence and acknowledge them accordingly. Create safe spaces for women to share their experiences. Educate ourselves and others about the impact of words. Support policies and laws that protect women from verbal abuse. We must also challenge patriarchal norms and attitudes that perpetuate verbal violence. Empowering women is crucial in preventing verbal violence. This can be achieved through self-love and self-care. Building confidence, establishing support networks, providing economic aid. We should acknowledge the intersectionality of verbal violence which affects women's differently based on their race, class, sexuality, disability, and invitation status. Addressing these is important in combating verbal violence effectively. Let's unite to create a world where women can live, a world where women's voices are valued either directly. Have you ever wondered why this is